Hello there, Force of Will players, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over the final list in our kind of new weekly-ish series that we've been doing for the new Game of Gods Revolution rulers. And so last but not least on the list, we're going to have Dragonflame. So Dragonflame is actually kind of built very a lot of the stuff for his archetype and things are kind of they all synergize well together, but unfortunately due to that there's very few outside synergies that I personally found that I would want to add to the deck. You could potentially try and do more dragon based stuff, but this is what I found that I particularly enjoyed and wanted to use. So with Zhuge Liang, starting off, Zhuge Liang is there are different forms of Zhuge Liang decks. So Dragonflame isn't the best ruler to make use of Zhuge Liang's mana creation. There are other rulers that do it better, other decks that do it better. However, Zhuge Liang is a very powerful tool in Dragonflame nonetheless, which is why it's in here. But if you were looking for kind of the mana ramp stuff that I've talked about with Zhuge, where if you're playing Brunhild or Adam Sakart or something, you can Harvesting Season, Einherjar summon a Zhuge Liang, play one from your hand with the free red will, you get 2 red will, and then you're kind of off to the races from there. So that is a different deck that requires rune rulers. But with this, what I wanted to do was max out as much dragon power as I could possibly get, and play cards that would benefit me from having all that dragon power. So Dragonflame himself, on his order enter, you gain 5 dragon power, and the ordered card becomes a dragon. So for us, our dragon power creation is going to be Zhuge Liang. We're playing 1 copy of Mechanized Armored Dragon. So Mechanized Armored Dragon and then the counterpart Mechanized Blade Dragon both have an enter effect to gain 5 dragon power and give a J Resonator plus 1,000 attack or defense, respectively, right? Blade Dragon's attack, Armored Dragon's defense. So we're on 1 Armored Dragon, 4 Blade Dragon. Why only 1 and 4? So it needs a target in order for the enter to go on to the chase, and it can't count itself because as soon as the enter would go on to the chase, if you use it off the discard effect, the Resonator itself is already gone. So you need another card in play. It could be your opponent's card, right? It doesn't have to be your own J Resonator, but you do need another one in play in order for you to gain the dragon power as well as the boost. So I didn't want to go super high on the copy count, but 1,000 attack is nothing to really snuff at on the Blade Dragon thing, so it allows you to kind of get in for lethal lines pretty easily as well. The main help with those attack boosts and the dragon power and stuff like that is with Zhuge Liang, using Zhuge as more of a finisher instead of a combo piece. We have 3 increased dragon power. We're playing this over Super Flame because this one can't be canceled. It can still be bounced by stuff like Final Breeze, Persephone, Welser, stuff like that, because it's not canceled, right? It's just getting bounced to the hand instead. However, being able to prevent it from being canceled from other decks that may be playing number 13, Fair Spell, so on and so forth, and then just gaining 10 dragon power and drawing a card is pretty good. So that is our dragon power lineup. It's the 5 dragons, the 3 increased dragon powers, and then Dragonflame's flip is where we're generating all our dragon power. So 8 cards in the main. If you track that right, it's supposed to be a guaranteed 1 in 5. So you always have some form of dragon power going with that. So with Zhuge Liang, the main thing that we're using with Zhuge is instead this final effect of hers. So it's going to be +X+X, swiftness and flying, as long as it's a dragon, and X is your dragon power. So it is a dragon if it's ordered, so it would have to be ordered, and then X being your dragon power, it will always be at least 5, because it would have to be ordered anyway. So Zhuge is always, if Zhuge is ever revolutioned, it is always at minimum a 9/9 with swiftness and flying. The thing with Zhuge and doing the dragon stuff and all that is to keep in mind that every time you gain dragon power, Zhuge would gain stats. So if I play Zhuge Liang and I order Zhuge Liang, right? So I energize, order Zhuge Liang, I put Zhuge Liang into play. She'll be a 9/9, and I'll have 5 dragon power to start with. Then I get one free Red Will off of Zooge because she'll deal damage to me. And then I'll get to call a stone if you play it off of Energize because you go second. With that free Red Will, you can pitch a Mechanized Blade Dragon. It'll give Zooge another 1,000 because it can target Jays, and then also another 5 because of the dragon power that it gains. So Zooge Liang would immediately be a 2,400 attacker. It would be a 2,414, right? Now, if you take that a step further, and then you can even use Dragonflame enters the Game of Gods for mode to give +X/+X, then you can also give it +10. You can give Zooge +10/+10, and Zooge is a 34/34 on the first turn of the game that can attack. So it's stuff like that. It's very explosive, and it just does a whole lot for us. For Tiger and Dragon, Giant Futuristic Weapon, this is mainly in here as the removal portion. The pay red, discard it, deal X100, target J-Res, where X is your dragon power, and draw a card. Card's really good. It also serves as an alternate win con in the event that you can revolution it when you get to 20 dragon power in order to only pay 3 for it. Kind of just talked about this, but Dragonflame enters the Game of Gods, scales incredibly well. I think it's the best scaling enters the Game of Gods out of all of them. And by scaling, I just mean as the game progresses, it gets better and better. There does come a certain point where it's like, what's the difference between dealing 3,000 damage to something and giving something +30/+30 versus like 4,000, right? But it does scale higher and higher, effectively infinitely within the deck. It functions twofold. One is a better form of Gradius because it gets a round barrier because it's choose, not target. As well as a pump to kind of end the game on the spot when you so choose or need to or have that capability. We talked about those other two. Mechanized Flame Soldier. So the reasoning for the Mechanized Flame Soldiers, as well as the Phantasmal Ascendants and the Dodgies, which we'll get into in a second, is because you want to, while you're flipping, you want to also control when you can flip back. So like having Zooge Liang stuck revolutioned isn't the worst thing in the world. You have other ways to gain dragon power. It's not like your deck's just going to flop. However, just having like a Dodgy sitting there where it's not really doing anything, Mechanized Flame Soldier not really doing anything, Phantasmal Ascendant not really doing anything, right? Those aren't the best cases to have stuff revolution. So in those cases, we want those cards to simply get us 5 dragon power and then flip on back so we can do it again. Mechanized Flame Soldier is a good version of this because you can give a Machine J Resonator swiftness until end of turn by banishing it. Costs aren't paid until after targets are declared, so this can target itself while it is still a J Resonator. So like while it's ordered, you can target itself and then sack it in order to put the effect onto the chase. It's the same thing why Tama would work if it wasn't a J ruler, right? Like things like that. And then whenever machine, this has to be a machine dragon, so it can't be a machine or dragon. It has to have both races. When a machine dragon enters the field under your control, you can put this card from the grave into the field. Now that effect is kind of twofold. One, it works with the Mechanized Blade Dragon, Mechanized Armor Dragons whenever they come into play off their discard effects, so that just gives you free swiftnesses. It works with Tiger and Dragon. It also works if you order Dodgy, because she'll be a machine dragon when she enters play. So that can be prevalent to, like, for example, I have a Mechanized Flame Soldier in my grave. I order and play a Dodgy. Mechanized Flame Soldier comes out. I can give Dodgy swiftness, sacrifice Dodgy with her own effects, or destroy her with her own effects, and then reflip, right? So it just has that kind of loop and that kind of like combo, I guess, value, play line value within the deck. You can't give Zooge swiftness, but she already has it base by being ordered. Dodgy. So Dodgy I didn't like at the beginning. We just thought it was kind of like a cracked Guinevere. But the more that like I read Dodgy and like played around with it, the more I liked it. I think this card's actually really good for Dragonflame. One, it's quick cast, so it lets you order on like your opponent's turn, right? Like if you're going second, you can energize order Dodgy in order to get dragon power, in order to get like some more dragon power. And then it can also get you dragons, right? So it can get you Tiger and Dragon if you need the removal. It can get you the Mechanized Blade Dragon in order to start going off, other things like that. If you needed it to, it could get you like other older dragons if you're trying to play like, I don't know, like a Gwyber deck, Drake deck, Atomic Bahamut deck, like things like that. It can get you those dragons as well. But again, it would have to be ordered in order to get it to your hand, because her first enter will just put the dragon in the grave. It also serves as like a burn, right? You burn your opponent for 500, they also can't gain life, and they lose any life they would have gained, so it works as a very, very good like burn anti-life gain tool. And then she's also technically a value engine, because you play her, you sack her, you draw 2 and discard 1, so she plays card neutral. Just lets you go through that and then also generate all your enter effects, right? So I find Dodgy to be very, 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 very good, honestly. A lot better than I had first anticipated when I had read her and really thought about it. Arena expansion, Valley of the Dragons. So I thought this card was terrible. I'm still not sure, but it does technically cost a single red if your dragon power is 20 or more. I like this card more now that we have mechanized blade dragon, mechanized armor dragon, as well as increased like dragon power, like other forms of dragon power generation, easier forms of dragon power generation to get to 20 easily. I'm pretending the 100 effect doesn't exist. If you ever wanted to do something like that, you would have to probably play Pang Tong, and do like a Pang Tong style of the deck. But I don't think Pang Tong's that great, as you can see by us not playing any. However, I think getting to 20 is fairly efficient to do by at least like turn 3 or 4. And then with Arena Expansion Valley of the Dragons, it does technically stack. So even if you have multiples, you're still fine. You're just going to trigger the effect multiple times. So it's whenever a Dragon J Resonator enters the field, it deals damage equal to its attack to your opponent, and you gain life equal to its defense. This works with Blade Dragon and Armored Dragon, because they do enter the field for their discard effects. So even if you're cycling through Blade Dragon, Armored Dragon, so on and so forth, every time they enter, they'll hit your opponent. So like if you're late into the game, Mechanized Blade Dragon, like if you have 2 arena expansions, it's late into the game, and you use the discard effect, you're going to gain 5 dragon power, pump something by 1,000, and then it's going to come into play and trigger the 2 arena expansions and deal 2,000 to your opponent. And you'll gain 1,600. But so this just works as really good like pressure for the late game. The other thing with it is with Tiger and Dragon, this card deals damage equal to its attack to your opponent. If you play one of those with one of these out, for the 3, right? Because you'd have to have 20 dragon power. That's 4k. So you just deal 4k to your opponent immediately. So that's so it's just a very good like win con, and it also has Eternal, which I didn't notice at first. I thought it didn't, which made it worse in my head. But it having Eternal is nice, right? Attendant of Asmodeus can still kill it. Apollon can still get rid of it, which is why we're playing 3 instead of just 1. We also have no real way of searching it, so you do kind of just have to raw draw the arena expansion. I've already talked about increased dragon power. Down here, setting the stage. It's just one of the best counter spells that's in blue specifically. So we're playing 4 of it, so we can have everything we want to do resolve. Phantasmal Ascendant I kind of talked about already. It can kill itself in order to flip back over. It can function as removal as well if you need it to, and it does function as a quasi form of ramp. And then Keys' Call, cancel target automatic ability of a Resonator and draw a card. I was looking for a way in blue to have some form of interaction. Keys' Call is the best one outside of probably Erendite, but I think Keys' Call is a little bit better because it does draw. So that is the main deck. Again, it is all red and blue. We don't have any other form of color in the deck. I wanted to primarily focus in on those colors because those are Dragonflame's colors. I thought about playing Origin Drywing. You could if you went more into like a green style of the deck, like red-green, instead of like red-blue with some other stuff. Because again, your deck's predominantly red. So like you can take out the setting the stages, Keys' Calls, other stuff, right? Go into a like a red-green version of the deck with like Lorites and other things like that. But I wanted to function more or focus more on the blue cards of it because his colors are red, white, and blue. And then looking at the stone lineup, he does hit himself with Zhuge Liang, so I opted, and you only have 7 blue cards in the main deck here. So I opted to play the counter stones instead of the burn stone. or the Shock Rocks or whatever. And then we have 4 Hearth Core, and then 2 Magic Stone of Atoms, because it produces red, and it draws a card if you need it to draw a card instead. If you rip it off of, like, Phantasmal Ascendant, you can sack it off to draw a card. So it just, Phantasmal Ascendant functions as now ramp and value, right? So it just works really well there. But anyway, that is my version of Dragonflame. Again, it's primarily, for the most part, these 30 cards are all from Game of Gods Revolution, which is another thing I wanted to focus on, make it more built within. And then setting the stage is from the previous set. Phantasmal Ascendant is from the Niar structure deck, as well as the previous set as well. Keys' Call is really the only Wanderer card, in addition to, like, the stones and things like that, right? So that is it for the deck list today. I don't know if I'll have any form of content moving forward for Tuesdays. We shall see, but I will try and be putting out multiple videos a week instead of just the one Wander Wednesday, whether that'll be tournament reports or other things like that. Wander Wednesdays tomorrow, and then I'm going to have a tournament report for Mr. DMO73 Ruler School, his box tournament that he had, as well as the Italian event that occurred. And I'll be using File Library to look at all the lists and things like that. So do look forward to those videos, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.